no, this is not a proof. This is the real session. Hola. Hi. Hi, everybody. This session is going to be in English, so in order to me to be in the flow with the English, with the English language, I'm going just to start right there in English, okay? So let's say hello to everybody that is coming up to the session. Let's say hello to Carlos, to Pedro, Juan Antonio. Hi, Pepe, how are you? I'm super happy to be here today with this new session. This session is so special. We have done our best to be with our special guests. Queralt, I can see you. Just 1 minute. I'm going to wait just 1 minute or two till everybody is here. Hi, Antonio. Hi. I just remembered to everybody that that this session is going to be in English. Okay, so today we have a very special guests with us. We have done the trial, and I hope everything's okay with the connection. With what a level, says Eduardo. Yes, we are worldwide right now. We are international. So so hello to everybody. Thank you very much for being with us today. Before starting the session today, we are going to thank you. I am going to thank you for the last session on last Wednesday that we had with Silvia Colmenares. It was a pity that we didn't manage to have Andres with us, Andres Canovas with us, but we are going to have him in the following week. So we are going to be there. And today, as you know, as we have announced, we are going to be with this book, Tocando el Mundo, Touching the World. We are going to be with his author, Juhani Pallasmaa, and with its publisher or responsible for the edition, Queralt Garriga, to whom I'm going to send right the invitation to be here with us. Sorry if I make any mistake with the English, because this is pretty hard one. Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Do you hear Maria, Juhani? Do you hear Maria?
I hear, yes.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you very much to you both, Juhani and Queralt. Today is, a very special one, a very special session for the club, for the book club. And indeed, we tried this before summer, and today is the day. Today we're gonna make it. I'm so happy, so grateful for you to be here. Just in order to tell everybody, and just to thank all the team of this series, of this collection, just a little bit of a reminder that this is the first book of the series Poliédrica that we are co-editing, co-publishing with UPC, with Iniciativa Digital Politécnica. I know that Jordi, Antonio, maybe Stanislao and Didac are there, and I just want to thank you again for this amazing project that we have started with them, because the first series is one of the of our most pride right now in our catalog. So we are really proud to have you both as an author and as a responsible of the edition. So thank you very much, you both, Juhani and Queralt, for being here today. We made it.
Thank you.
So as in every session, I'm just going to introduce you both of course, I know everybody knows you. I know, but I think, you know, it's mandatory to do that as, you know, as the conductor of the session. And I think it's, you know, it's something that I have to do. So just let me one more minute, and then we are just starting right to the book. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Juhani Pallasmaa is an architect and has been practicing architecture in Helsinki since the early 60s. He was professor and dean of the Helsinki Polytechnic University and director of the Finnish Museum of Architecture and rector of the Helsinki Institute of Industrial Arts. He has also been a lecturer and visiting professor at huge amount of universities worldwide, and including, of course, the ETSAM in Madrid and ETSAB in Barcelona, of course. He's the author of a lot of articles and books, several articles and books on philosophy, psychology, and theory of architecture and art, published in more than 30 languages. And for example, just the works translated into Spanish are, for example, Animales Arquitectos for 2001, Los Ojos de la Piel in 2006, Esencias in 2018, Habitar in 2019, and of course in 2019, Touching the World, Tocando el Mundo, with Ediciones Asimétricas and Iniciativa Digital Politécnica. And Queralt Garriga, I'm now going with you. Queralt Garriga holds a PhD in architecture with international mention in 2015 with the UPC, master in 2007, and a postgraduate in 1999 in UPF. In cultural management, okay? She's a specialized consultant in architectural projects in the cultural and built heritage environment. And she also is an associate lecturer of architectural design in ETSAB UPC, researcher in didactics and communication of architectural knowledge, and member of the Gilda or Gilda? Gilda, no?
Yes.
It's okay. Gilda UPC Teach Research Group. And of course, she has been the director of Fundación Caja de Arquitectos from 1996 till 2017. So, you know, it's a pleasure, an honor, and we are really proud to be here with you today. And let's have fun. Let's start with the book.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ediciones Asimétricas and UPC. And thank you, Juhani, also to have time to share this conversation. I'm so pleased to be here with you both. As a conductor, let's say, of the session, I was explaining to Juhani that what I've done is to make a selection of some parts of the book, some parts of each chapter that have caught my attention. So it's a very personal selection, but I also try to select those parts that are more linked to the topic of the chapter. Because as you know, this book is made of 6 lectures that Juhani did in Australia. The book was first called the 6 Australian Lectures before being named Touching the World. And so each lecture is devoted to one topic. And so what we are going to do is like going through them as we were reading the book, let's say. And probably we will not finish all the topics, of course, because time is limited. But I'm sure on that basis we will be able to build an interesting conversation, I hope.
Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Okay. So, first I would like to ask Juhani one particular question. That preparing this session, he was, let's say, he was telling to me, why don't you ask me about other things also? And for example, and then he put a particular question, so I have to ask that question because he asked me to put that question. So the first one will not be about the book, will be about Juhani, and it is this question. Juhani, so I want to know, Juhani, why, yeah, why are you devoted to writing instead of doing architecture during those, I don't know, maybe 10 or years, or I don't know how long, but why are you not still doing architecture, but just writing? So.
I started my career doing architecture. Then in the middle, I became interested also in writing. And 9 years ago, I closed my office entirely and have continued just writing. And the main reason for the last change in my focus was that architecture has become so service-oriented, and it has lost its artistic and philosophical both authority and autonomy. You are too often told what to do, whereas when you write, nobody tells you what to do. So I feel being more autonomous myself and free than writing. And besides, I'm still working on architectural issues. I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm writing about architecture. I have to imagine it and imagine it in a lively manner, as if I were designing. So, in a very deep sense, I haven't changed my focus.
Following your own words, we could say that when you're writing, you're using your empathic imagination too, as when one is designing architecture.
Well, surely one can write on architecture and art in several ways. For the last 20 years at least, I have written on in an experiential manner. So I'm writing about my experiences about architecture, which is very close to the same that I would be sketching my imagined experiences of architecture if I were doing design work. So all I want to say, these two things are not so far from each other.
Of course.
People would know more.
For sure. Can you hear his voice?
Yeah, can anybody tell us if you are listening his voice, Juhani's voice? Queralt, can you put the speaker just next to the phone so we can?
It is next to the phone.
Okay.
But that's what I was asking, if everything is correct. You can hear him. Yeah.
Just keep going, and maybe right now they are going to answer.
Okay, thank you, Juhani. Then I will start from the first chapter. The first lecture is about atmosphere. Well, it's atmosphere and mood, but and in fact, I will start from the very beginning, and I read your words. The quality of a space or place is not merely a visual perceptual quality as is usually assumed. The judgment of environmental character is a complex multisensory fusion of countless factors which are immediately and synthetically grasped as an overall atmosphere, ambience, feeling or mood. I enter a building, see a room, and in the fraction of a second have this feeling about it, Peter Zumthor said. And then later you quote Martin Heidegger saying, as we enter a space, the space enters us, and the experience is essentially an exchange and fusion of the object and the subject. And later on you say, paradoxically, we grasp the atmosphere before we identify its details or understand it intellectually. And then you go on explaining this experience, talking about its multisensory essence. Merleau-Ponty says, as you quote, "My perception is not a sum of visual, tactile, and audible givens I perceive in a total way with my whole being. The immediate judgment of the character of space calls for our entire embodied and existential sense, and it's perceived in a diffuse, peripheral, and unconscious manner, rather than through precise, focused, and conscious observation." And this, which is just an extract of there are more texts of yours that talk about these qualities of the architectural experience. But let me think that what is maybe more important is that when we are experiencing an architectural space, mind has nothing to do with it. So it's nothing intellectual, but it's not just perceptive, I will say, but maybe a definition of it could be that is everything less intellectual. So as you say, we grasp the atmosphere because before we identify its details or understand it intellectually. Made me think that we don't have to understand architecture to grasp its very essence. So in this sense, anyone is able to experience architecture in its essence. So if this is so, why it is so difficult for, let's say, non-architects to understand the importance, or not the importance, the magic of architectural space? Do you find? Do you follow me?
Yes, I do. I think that altogether we are taught and guided to trust our intellect more than our senses or our emotions. That's the main problem. And the school system and universities also continue this conditioning. And in a way, in order to enjoy art and architecture fully, you have to sort of reprogram attitudes. And I was educated as a rationalist intellectual, and it has taken me now 84 years to get back to a open-minded attitude and experience rather than intellectualize or understand. There is also a direct existential understanding. We understand spatial situations, also social situations, without intellectualizing in an embodied manner. For me, the idea of existential understanding has become more and more important. That is an understanding of situations that we normally countless times every day do. And that is a totally reliable way of understanding your situation in the world. I think we have lost that somewhat childish, how would I say, confidence and open-mindedness. And in order to, as a teacher, I try to make my students relive their own childhood experiences of spatial situations, rooms, darkness, light, etc., in order to revitalize that existential channel.
Yeah, because Oye, ahora no sé qué pasa. Me oigo doble.
Sí, yo también te oigo doble. I'm just hearing the...
No sé qué ha pasado.
Ahora ya.
¿Ahora ya?
Sí.
Well, no, I was reflecting about the childhood, the mention of the childhood, because it's true that that, as we say, childs don't have, let's say, they are not placed in the head; they are placed in the experience of life, and that allows them to confront, let's say, anything in a direct way, not with so many filters that we, let's say, adult, we have. And this is a drama, let's say, because it affects us not only architecturally, it affects in all, let's say, situations in life. We are two places in the head. But I suppose you agree with me that this doesn't mean that, of course, knowledge is not necessary or is not, let's say, it's not something that we should give to society, for example, if we want to transmit architectural knowledge. So one thing is like to experience a building, and then another thing is to understand it. I presume.
Yes, and I think we need, or I know we need knowledge and vast knowledge, in fact, in order to understand who we are, and in order to understand the world. Without understanding the world in relation to yourself, you can't do much meaningful about it, either as an architect or a poet or whatever your occupation might be. It is just a false priority that we give to intellectual understanding, which I think is the problem.
So the thing,
architecture and arts.
The thing is that the problem is the disappearance of the direct experience of things. Let's say not.
That's right. That's exactly. Right. Let the world express itself to you. Let the building express itself to you. Regrettably, most buildings have very little to say, which of course makes the situation a bit difficult. But a great building speaks to everyone.
Yeah. And then following the text, I could go on talking to you about this, I think, for more time, but let's follow the text, otherwise maybe I get lost. Then you introduce the concept of time and duration. You say this complex assessment also includes the dimension of time, and experiencing implies duration, and the experience uses perception, memory, and imagination. Moreover, each space and place is always an invitation to and suggestion of distinct acts. In my view, spaces are and true architectural experiences are verbs. And this sentence, true architectural experiences are verbs, is really like a motto for me. Is something really important and substantial, because it relies or it puts architecture in relation to actions. And that means it puts architecture in relation to people, to human beings. And I was thinking, also reading it, that when we say that something is happening, we say that things take happening during time. I mean, actions are taking time. And you also say that it fuses also past time and future. So it fuses memory and imagination. So it conveys the experience to spend time in a certain way. When the experience is very intense, time somehow disappears also.
We tend to think that perception and experience it takes place now in nowness, but in fact every first percept in our brain, it is compared what we have experienced before, and that then it is projected by imagination to what might become of it. So there is the time component is right there in every single perception that we make. We live in a kind of a thick time, and that is one concern of mine, is that time in today's world, because of the fast and mechanized essence, has lost its thickness. Some scholar speaks of uses the word tactile time about the writings of the French writer
Proust.
Yes, and I think also architecture, in addition to manipulating space, it also manipulates time. It reconnects us with historical and ancient things. So in many ways, architecture places us in a meaningful and rich relationship with the world.
In fact, we are jumping to the second of your conferences, with particularly or specifically about time. And you say that time has lost its experiential depth by the incredible acceleration of time in the contemporary world, and also that we have lost the capacity of dwelling in time. And I will, well, related to what we are talking, if space is related to activity, and an activity, of course, takes place in time, and also architecture is experienced as a sequence of moments, let's say, because it's experienced in movement. Can you explain us a little bit more what it's for you to dwell in time, or how is this architecture that allows someone to dwell in time?
Let me go back for a second, back to the idea of architecture as a verb.
Yeah.
Architecture is a kind of choreography. It choreographs our physical movements, but it also choreographs our attention. It choreographs our emotions. It's a total choreography, and all those advance in time. So time is indivisible from architectural experience. But then, as I often tell my students, we are all millions of years old. We have layers, biological and evolutionary layers in ourselves, which we are not very conscious of. But art addresses those hidden experiences. So art and architecture have a role in vitalizing our deepest memories, not only our memories of own childhood, but even species memories. I'm more and more as I get older, I become more and more interested in the biological explanations of biological conditions of architecture. And I have suggested at several occasions that architecture schools should have one new subject, biology, in their curriculum.
So you are relating time with, as you say, emotions, and when you say architecture choreographs our lives, you are relating time to this choreography by means of emotions and not only activities, but and anything that can happen. Mental,
just as important, or perhaps even more important than the physical movement.
Okay.
In fact, they cannot be separated.
And now you are telling us that maybe also in an unconscious way, time is, let's say,
mostly unconscious, I would say.
Exactly. Mostly unconscious.
Yes.
But I was, yeah, sorry.
Special quality of and value of arts is that they operate in our unconscious, in the unconscious layers of the human mind. When normal activities in today's rationalized society tend to eliminate completely that dimension.
But I was thinking that also architectural events, most simple architectural events, take place in time. For example, when the light is entering through a certain window and this light is changing during the day, or when we experience architecture, is always through time, because it's, as I said before, it's through movement. So it is linked directly. So time is also in this sense of the movement, let's say, is linked to the architectural experience.
Yes, architecture also, its choreography also relate us with the cycles of the year, with geography, with landscape. Architecture situates us in our world, both intimate and public worlds. We don't think about it that way, but it is absolutely true.
And then, in this sense, you call for the virtues and benefits of slowness, as you say in your second lecture, and also referring to the notion of dwelling in time. I was asking you to explain it a little bit, but I think maybe we could go on it to referring to the novels of Proust or the novels of the late 19th century. Maybe to dwell in time will be so this capacity that we have in certain spaces that embrace our, let's say, emotions or mental beings, let's say, in a particular way. Let's say. So when we imagine the main characters of the Tolstoy novels, for example, as you said, and the relation they have with their environment and the architect that surround them, is a particular way of living that is lost today. And maybe it was accompanied by a certain architecture.
Well, many literary scholars have convincingly argued that until the couple of first decades of last century, time was a central topic, subject matter in novels, in literature. But in our time, it has been replaced by space. And I'm interested in recovering time as an experiential dimension in the way that it used to be in the novels of the 19th century and early 20th century. I love reading, for instance, Russian classical novels exactly because of this slowness. You have time to sit down and watch a single fly, fly around and make its noise. In today's novels, it is not.
Yes, it's a reflection of our times. It is. I was amazed also when I read it for the first time the quote of Abel Amenem, which maybe if you want to recall it, because I don't know if everybody knows it. It is really amazing. You know what I'm referring to.
Well, you can read it. I don't have
This monk that was saying in 1819 that he was saying, man does not read any longer. There is no time for it. The spirit is called upon from all directions simultaneously. Dice, ay, María, es que oigo muy fuerte el ruido de las hojas.
Las mías. Perdón. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just was looking for the reference. Sorry.
So this Abel Amenem was saying in the beginning of the 19th century, the spirit is called upon from all directions simultaneously. It has to be addressed quickly or else it disappears. But there are things which cannot be said or comprehend quickly. And exactly these are most important for man. This rushing of movement, which does not allow man to concentrate on anything, finally shatters the entire human reason. And this could be a description of today's life, and it was made more than 1 century ago. So, I don't know. We will get back to.
A very good example of how sensitive and wise artists and writers and also scientists have read certain phenomena that become more real 100 years later. There are great writers, for instance, William James, the American psychologist, philosopher. His writings in the end of 19th century are more radical than psychological writings of today. That's why I encourage my students to go back to old books, because they have this concentrated wisdom, that's what I try to do in my writings, is to see into the phenomenon, not just describe it or theorize it, but see what it really is, and then transmit that in the same way that Abel Amenem explains the negative effects of speed.
But it is difficult to think that we will go to slowness again. Well, who knows? Maybe things are changing in the recent weeks.
Yeah, if I just can add one point, is that right now time it seems to be like a little bit paused, no? Right now with this situation.
Exactly, suspended.
Suspended, yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so to let's say to focus or to finish to this with this idea of architecture as verbs, we could say that a space becomes a place when it can be practiced or occupied, lived, when it allows doing. Otherwise, it's another thing.
No, I didn't understand quite.
Referring again to the architecture as verbs, we can say that a space becomes a place when it allows doing, when it can be occupied, when it can be lived. So this is what transform let's say spaces in places in real let's say architectural experiences. Otherwise, it's another thing.
Yes, and then this word aspect also has another connotation. We tend to think architecture as the end product, as the thing that we admire. But all works of art and architecture, they are relational. They relate us to other things, and they speak about other things, not about themselves. And it is this relational aspect that I find so important, and that is disappearing in today's architecture. My favorite philosopher, Merleau-Ponty, has a wonderful line when he says that we come not to see the work of art, we come to see the world according to the work. And this is exactly the definition of architecture. We don't come to see architecture, we come to see and experience the world through that piece of.
And that means people using architecture, living in architecture, experiencing and enjoying architecture. Because, yeah.
That's why I chose the title "Touching the World." Is that architecture relates us to the world, and the title comes directly from another idea of Merleau-Ponty when he says that Paul Cézanne's paintings make us feel how the world touches us. It's a beautiful poetic description of what a painting can do, and certainly good architecture does the same. It makes us understand how the world touches us.
For me, it's easy to understand that idea through art. It's more difficult to understand it through architecture, because I understand paintings, for example, or any artwork as a stimuli to provoke a certain inner and personal experience, which is unique and which is very essential and really relating the me to the world. So I see clearly this artwork as a window that opens up to a wider, let's say, landscape. And this, you mean that exactly the same can happen with architecture? Is that what you mean?
Absolutely, because it is your experience, what you see and feel and understand through architecture that counts. Exactly in the same way that Cézanne's paintings make you feel how the world touches. Architecture, in the same way, sensitizes our relationship
to the world,
with each other and the world at large. So I'm saying this just to make the point that the idea of a choreography, architectural choreography, is a rather wide notion. It applies to numerous aspects of architecture.
Yeah, and it also is a presence, a constant presence in our lives. So it choreographs. The other day I read that we spend 90% of our time in interior spaces. It is like well calculated, yeah. And this means that we spend 90% of our time in architecture. Maybe the other 10% we spend it through architecture, because we are outside, but we are through buildings or between buildings. But 90% of our time in architecture means that yeah, we have a huge responsibility as designer of these those spaces.
So I think that this understanding or lack of understanding of architecture arises from the fact that we think of architecture as the building, not as part of our life. Our home is part of us, absolutely. And, there is a perpetual interaction. And when one accepts and realizes this interaction, then architecture changes. And it becomes much more dramatic and subtle at the same time. And it becomes also easier to understand why architecture matters.
So you mean that there is no me and the architecture?
For me, there is.
You mean that there is no me and the architecture? That as
me in architecture and architecture in me. That's one of the important aspects of architecture, is that it speaks to us in first person and makes us also understand ourselves better. That's the role of the home, especially, is to strengthen our sense of self and make our feel safe in the world. I used to travel quite a lot. I have made 108 rounds around the world, and always when I returned back home by taxi from Helsinki airport and I saw certain buildings in Helsinki, I sighed deeply and I felt I'm back home now. I was still 5 kilometers from home, but I was already in the realm that I feel familiar with. So architecture is part of our self-truth in a very deep way.
And another way of seeing that, I don't know if you agree, well, I think you will agree, is something that I'm very much interested of, is how is it possible that when we have lived in a house for a long period of time, and then we lose this space because we move away or because we change, this space is part of our being. We miss it as we miss someone that we have lost. So we personalize spaces in our memory, and their weight is as heavy as of someone that we care very much about. This is impressive for me, how it is related with what you are saying, because it's in us.
That's exactly right. I was very strongly influenced by a study in the late 60s, I think, in which showed that the people who had lost dwellings, who had been obliged to move away, poor people especially, grieve that in the same way that they grieve the death of their close relative. It is the grievance which has the same origin in both cases.
Exactly. We remember it. You have to read. I mean, I would like you to write about this. This is something I often think about, and I'm very much interested.
Well, I think we all would love to read about that and to read Juhani talking about that.
I think
I'm now writing about melancholy, which is
well, it is related.
It's related also, yeah.
As reflected.
So just one thing. Well, we are just running out of time because it's 10 to 8. But I just, related to all this that we are talking about, I just want to mention one question, Queralt, that you made, but that she made to you, Juhani, at the book launch here in Madrid when you were here. It was the last question that you asked him, indeed. And you asked him, Queralt, if you remember, that what is architecture for you? And Juhani, you answered, architecture is a human extension. So it related to that and to, you know, dwelling with time and architecture and space. What can you tell us again about this? What is architecture for you, and what is it a human extension? What do you mean with that?
For me, architecture is one of the most important ways in which we structure our being in the world. We structure our existential situation through architecture, cities, landscapes, architecture, objects. We cannot live alone. We have to project ourselves to our settings, and we recognize ourselves in these objects. Every one of us must have objects in his or her home which are meaningless in any practical sense, but they are meaningful as mental extensions. They concretize the world and certain events and personalities, etc. for us. We simply are creatures who project ourselves to the world, and at the same time we inject the world into ourselves. And consequently, the world, the dwelling, the setting, has a tremendous influence on our emotive conditions. And that is the reason why I have been interested in atmospheres. Atmospheres are sort of secret qualities which have been left outside of architecture, because as architects we have been obsessed with form. But atmosphere is something else. Atmosphere is formless. It is caused by phenomena like illumination, and smells and materials, etc. So I'm saying this just to point out that there are important existential facts about human life, both individual and collective, which architecture has, particularly contemporary architecture, has forgotten, because we have become so obsessed with form, and especially unique form that would express some individual quality. I don't think any individualistic expression can really be meaningful. Only expressions that touch upon something that we share. Art always deals with something we share, which is already here and there. The ultra-modernist perspective is totally wrong. It's biologically wrong, it's psychologically wrong. I think we need to become, going back to an earlier theme, time conscious and history conscious. And I'm not here speaking of history as a study of art or architectural history. I'm speaking of the human historicity, ourselves as historical beings, each one of us individually, but also as a species. We are self-tamed animals, and we have a long history which we tend deliberately to forget. I think we need to, as I said earlier, we need to think of our evolutionary past also. Many of the very fundamental architectural events or qualities go back to our evolutionary history. Some of you know the Finnish president, Matti Ahtisaari, who won the Nobel Prize or Peace Prize 12 years ago. He runs a peace negotiation office, and I was once asked to speak about the proper space for peace negotiation. When we started, they explained the situation which had been most successful as a negotiation psychologically in their history. It took place in Africa underneath a huge tree outdoors. And I started to laugh because that's exactly where human beings evolved. And that is where our deepest instincts are, right there underneath the tree, in the shadow of a tree. So I'm saying this just to make the point, somewhat jokingly, that ancient things can have a very actual meaning today.
Of course.
Yeah, that's so right. So, Queralt, Juhani, we're running out of time. We're just about to get to 8 o'clock. So, I just want to thank you both. This has been such a great session. I loved all the subjects and everything that you both talk about, and I think that of course we just have four more conferences to talk about. So maybe we can make another session if you both want, and if everybody just behind the screen wants to. I would love to have you here again to go through some more subjects in the book, but in these 2 minutes, I just want to thank you very much, you both. What do you think? Do you want another session? Everybody back in the screen, and of course you both, Juhani and Queralt, would you like that?
Would you like another session, Juhani?
Absolutely.
We have run out of time. Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah. So please, Queralt, Juhani, just wait for me in the Meet session, in the Google Meet session that I'm going to, to connect you through that. Thank you very much to everybody that was that were behind the screen. Thank you for being here. If you want the book of course is in Spanish. Okay. You can purchase in our website, but of course in all the all the bookshops they need it, and we need to resist this situation. Okay, so thank you very much, Juhani, Queralt. I'm going to Instagram is going to cut the session right now, and thank you very much to you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.